So let's get started on another table.
For today's project, we'll be using these classic raw pine table legs. For stability, we'll need to attach the pine legs to a frame. We'll be using a pocket hole jig and screws to assemble it.
The dimensions of the door allow for a table that is 50 centimeter on the end and 150 centimeter long runners. And then we're going to use some corner blocks just to help attach everything together. So we're going to be using a pocket hole jig to drill an accurate angle and depth hole for the screws that we're going to be using to attach to the legs. The way we're going to use this is we're just going to clamp the jig to the piece of wood where we're going to screw the hole. Just going to set it back a few millimeters and then clamp it on. And we'll put 3 holes on each end. So as you can see, the drill has come in at an angle and stopped at a fixed depth. And then this is where our screws are going to go in. All right, so now we are ready to attach the frame to the legs. We are using solid pine legs that will match this frame. We are going to use 38mm timber screws for attaching these. Cool, so just to ensure that these legs will be parallel, I'm going to put them both down on the table before fastening the second leg. All right, so let's assemble the other side of the table. Yeah, I'm just fitting it into the center of the leg and making sure that the plank is flush with the end of the leg. Cool, both ends are done. Now we can add the long runners and attach the ends together. Cool, now we are ready to add the other end. Cool, so that's our frame complete. I'm just going to also add a few corner blocks here as a preference, just to add a bit more stability to the frame. I cut these corner blocks on a miter saw at 45 degrees. These are each 18 centimeters long. All right, the frame has been fully assembled. Next step is that we're going to stain the frame to match the top that we're going to be using. So before we do that, we're going to have to just sand the whole frame lightly so that the stain can have a nice even coat. I'm going to use the foam sanding block on the legs, especially on the rounded pieces, and then I'm going to use an orbital sander on the flat areas. I'm going to go with a 220 grit sandpaper because it's already been quite well sanded before. All right, we've just finished sanding and now we are ready to stain. We're going to stain outside and just put a plastic sheet down so that we don't get stain on the surfaces outside. While the frame is drying, we are just going to work on the tabletop. We're going to fill in the holes where the lock used to be and any other holes so that we can make a nice tabletop. I'm just going to start with a block of wood to fill in the mortise hole where the lock used to be. Then after that, we will use some acrylic wood filler. We've filled in the lock now, and we are just going to have to wait 24 hours for the wood filler to fully dry before we can use it. But in the meantime, I just want to add a little bit of stain to where the finish has worn out. I'm just going to wipe down the excess finish and then add a bit of satin lacquer. Great, we're now ready to attach the top to the base. I'm going to use these corner blocks that we got from Galmar. I'm just using 16mm screws to fit the corner blocks on. I'm going to put 6 corner blocks around the table, just evenly spaced.
From using another color stain to changing up the type of table leg you use, you can get as creative as you like.